Now, your ABC 7 First Alert weather forecast with meteorologist John Scalzi.
A 74-degree air temperature and the change in our weather pattern underway now with an east wind coming in at about 3 as opposed to a more southerly wind or even southwesterly wind that we've seen all week long. A mix of sun and clouds out there with more sun than anything else as dawn breaks on the sun coast. Looks pretty nice. Little chance of rainfall during these morning hours until we get to about 3 o'clock this afternoon when we'll max out our rain chance at about 30%. At that point, most of the showers will be inland. They'll slowly drift back to the coast or drift north as they dissipate. So, quiet on the sun coast right now. West central Florida looking pretty good. Showers out in Gulf waters, but they'll stay there. Our area roadways look just fine in terms of weather, and that's how it's going to be for the morning commute. High pressure, the dominant weather feature now in the Atlantic, bringing us this southeasterly wind flow. That southeasterly wind flow tags our sea breeze as it builds in the afternoon. The two collide, and that's where the showers and thunderstorms will begin to form. We'll have better coverage on the west coast of Florida than we will on the east coast of Florida for several days in a row as we develop this easterly wind flow. So we'll have a wind shift today, bringing new weather pattern. That's the east wind as opposed to our west wind that we have had. We'll have drier air moving in. We haven't really talked about that yet, but riding on this easterly wind flow will be some drier air aloft that will limit the number of storms that form. And we'll have some warmer temperatures as well. So a new subtropical system is formed out in the open waters of the Atlantic. This one, number 5, is located far away from us out in the center of the Atlantic. There we are, so a good distance away and on a forecast track that will continue to carry it out into the open waters of the Atlantic. It's a fish storm. It won't bother anyone. And in fact, it only has a few days, I think, to survive and become a named storm possibly. All computer models suggest that its low-pressure center will lift up to an area that will eventually take it up into this location right about here. And on this map, which shows the ripping winds aloft, red is conducive to tropical storm development, and that's what it has right now and will for a couple of days. And then it moves into high shear environment that'll tear the storm apart, and that will probably cause it to become nothing but a remnant low, which won't bother anyone. And also water temperatures right now are in the marginal zone for tropical development, but as it lifts northward, it moves into the colder waters of the North Atlantic, and that'll cause it to just basically fizzle out. So about a 2-day attempt of this storm to become another named storm, which, if it does, will be called Ernesto. Again, it's one for the history books. It has no impact whatsoever on the state of Florida. We'll look for a southeast wind developing this afternoon, coming in at about 10 knots. Should be a nice boating day with the exception of the red tide that's out there, 2-foot seas, light chop. Perhaps that easterly wind might help some of the sufferers of red tide by carrying some of that toxin back out into the open waters. 10:38 low tide, high tide 4:12. Forecast for the week ahead looks like this. We'll have 91 today, tomorrow. A little bit of drier air starting to filter in, reducing rain chances for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday before the moisture begins to return next week.